after he leaves Vienna, he means the organization must die because he has left. Now, that is a selfish old man.
The ANC Youth League takes a swipe at Jacob Zuma. Why is government denying that there's a problem here when anti-Semitic attacks in South Africa have surged? And a woman takes the wheel of Mercedes leadership just as Lewis Hamilton leaves to join Ferrari. Hello, I'm Jane Dutton.
This is Eyewitness News.
It's been another day of fire flare-ups in the Western Cape. Aerial resources have again been dispatched to assist firefighters on the ground in Pringle Bay. A fire in the Hung Clip area that has been raging since Monday and contained last night has started again.
The wind is still very unpredictable, and we do not at this time have an indication that we will be completely out of the woods within the next 48 hours.
The designated assembly point is the Kleinmond Town Hall. The ANC Youth League says its mother body was lenient on a, quote, selfish old man when it placed its former president, Jacob Zuma, on immediate suspension last week, and that the League would have called for his immediate expulsion. Zuma was suspended for campaigning for another party after he announced in December that he'd be backing the newly registered Umkhonto weSizwe party. ANC Youth League president also questioned how a leader who has continuous financial woes and can't apparently pay his legal bills is fronting an organization that seems to be throwing big money into its election campaign.
It was all about himself, and after he leaves Vienna, he means the organization must die because he has left. Now, that is a selfish old man.
Life after the ANC. The multi-party charter for South Africa believes it has a good chance of grabbing swing provinces like KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng from the ANC. Today, leaders from the 11 political parties under the charter have been hosting a voter registration drive campaign at the Johannesburg City Hall. Freedom Front Plus CEO Pieter de Necker says recent political events like Jacob Zuma's defection from the ANC will be an advantage to the charter. Youth leaders there say it is time for young people to stop sitting on the sidelines and having their futures decided for them. There are still 14 million unregistered voters, a majority of whom are aged under 40.
It is said that voters who are 40 years and 50 years are the ones that are currently deciding our future. It is time for change. It is time for us to go out and make our mark. The problem with those ones that are voting and deciding on our behalf is that they are really not concerned and worried about the issues that affect us as young people.
A really bad day for those relying on Metro bus services in Johannesburg. Some 30,000 commuters have had to find alternative transportation. That's after bus drivers hit the brakes on operations this morning. It's understood several workers embarked on an unprotected strike after disrupting operations yesterday too. The bus company says due to the security risk and fears of intimidation against its drivers, the nerve centre of its operations at Gandhi Square will remain closed until further notice.
We are dealing with an illegal strike that commenced yesterday. A number of employees have brought demands to management and agreement could not be reached. And unfortunately, this has affected the operations of the entity.
The South African Jewish Board of Deputies says the South African government's failure to acknowledge acts of anti-Semitism is fostering an environment that emboldens acts of violence and discrimination. Earlier this week, Justice Minister Ronald Lamola defended South Africa against claims of prejudice and hostility towards Jewish people in the country in an interview on BBC's Hard Talk. Reacting to the interview, the board's Karen Miller says anti-Semitic incidents in the country have surged with more than 139 incidents recorded between October and December last year. That's a stark contrast to the 19 incidents reported during the same period in 2022. Eminent South African jurist Navi Pillay says she doesn't believe permanent members of the United Nations Security Council should be allowed to use their veto powers on matters of human rights violations.
You have a mandate for peace and security, and there are human rights violations going on. How can you use a veto?
As Lewis Hamilton leaves Mercedes to join Ferrari for the 2025 season, we hear of another big move at the luxury car maker. Mercedes-Benz South Africa has appointed former Deputy President and former United Nations official Phumzile Mlabo Ngcuka to its board. The appointment takes effect as of today for a period of 3 years. It seems it always helps to have a woman at the wheel. And just remember, you can download the Eyewitness News app that can be found at any app store.
Eyewitness News, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, log on to ewn.co.za or ewn.mobi.